Tales of Horror, 31 Days Before Halloween. The Scarecrow Made of Bones, a Halloween horror story. It was Halloween night, and the small town of Millfield was quiet, except for the rustling of corn stalks in the wind. Every year, the town would have a scarecrow competition, and this year was no different. As darkness fell, the scarecrows seemed to come alive, their ragged clothes flapping eerily as the wind picked up. Children would run from house to house, collecting candy, but avoided any houses with scarecrows on their property. They knew not to get too close. However, this Halloween would be far scarier than any before. One family had used real bones to create their scarecrow. They had found the bones buried on their property, and the father thought they would make for an excellent addition to their creation. The family went to bed that night, unaware of the terror that was brewing in their front yard. As the clock struck midnight, the scarecrow began to move on its own, the bones creaking and cracking as it stood up straight. The family's dog began to howl, and the parents woke up to a chilling sight. The scarecrow had come alive, and it was crawling towards their house on all fours. The parents tried to keep their children calm as they barricaded themselves in a room, but they knew they were no match for the scarecrow. The creature had its eyes set on the family, and it wouldn't stop until it had them all. As the night wore on, the townspeople began to notice something was wrong. They could hear screams coming from the family's property and ventured out to investigate. When they arrived, they saw the scarecrow standing tall and proud, its bones still creaking in the wind. The townspeople knew they had to act quickly to save the family. Using their knowledge of the scarecrow competition, they realized that the scarecrow was vulnerable to fire. They quickly gathered as much hay as they could find and lit it ablaze. The scarecrow tried to run, but the flames engulfed it, burning its bones and straw to a crisp. The townspeople breathed a sigh of relief as they saw the scarecrow go up in flames. The next day, the town was filled with whispers about what had happened. The family was shaken, but thankfully unharmed, and they quickly removed any remnants of the terrifying scarecrow. The mysterious haunting of Roseville, uncovering the truth behind the Candyman. There have been many urban legends surrounding the Candyman, a supernatural figure who is said to appear when someone says his name 5 times in front of a mirror. But in the small town of Roseville, a series of strange and inexplicable events have been linked to this mysterious figure. It all started at the annual Halloween party that the local elementary school organized every year. Many children reported seeing a strange man dressed in a hat and a coat walking around the school, handing out candy to the kids. But as the night progressed, some children began to notice something odd about the man. His reflection was not visible in any of the mirrored surfaces in the school. None of the adults at the party noticed anything out of the ordinary, and the man was never seen again. Over the next few weeks, strange occurrences began to happen all over town. Children reported seeing Candyman lurking in the shadows, and some even claimed to have received candy from him. Others said they saw him in their dreams, whispering their names and beckoning them to join him in the darkness. Then, one Halloween night, a group of friends dared each other to say Candyman's name 5 times in front of a mirror. As they chanted his name, a figure materialized in the glass, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. The friends tried to flee, but were met with an unseen force that drove them back into the room. They were found the next day, pale and shaken, and none of them could explain what had happened. To this day, no one knows who or what the Candyman really is, or why he chooses to torment the people of Roseville. Some believe he is a vengeful spirit, while others think he is a manifestation of the town's collective fear and anxiety. But one thing is certain: the Candyman will continue to haunt the dreams and nightmares of the people of Roseville until someone can uncover the truth behind his mysterious and terrifying existence. The terrifying encounter with the Skinwalker, a Halloween night hike, turns deadly in Gallup, New Mexico. In the quiet town of Gallup, New Mexico, there was a legend that had been passed down from generation to generation. The legend of the Skinwalker. The Navajo people believed that the Skinwalker was a supernatural being that could take on the form of any animal it wanted. One Halloween night, a group of friends decided to go on a hike in the nearby desert. As they wandered through the arid landscape, they heard strange noises and saw shadows moving around in the distance. At first, they thought it was just their imagination, but as they got closer, they realized that something was definitely not right. Suddenly, a figure leapt out from behind a rock and stood before them. It was an old woman with wrinkled skin and a twisted smile. She wore tattered clothing and had long, stringy hair that whipped around in the wind. The group froze in terror, unsure of what to do. The old woman beckoned them closer, and they cautiously approached. She reached out a bony hand and touched their faces, muttering strange words under her breath. Suddenly, the group was overcome with an intense feeling of fear and dread. They stumbled backwards and tried to run, but their legs felt heavy and unresponsive. As they looked back, the old woman had transformed into a giant wolf-like creature with glowing red eyes. It snarled and lunged towards them, chasing them through the desert night. One member of the group was caught and dragged away into the darkness, never to be seen again. The survivors reported the incident to the local authorities, but no one could explain what had happened. Some believed it was just a prank or a wild animal attack, but others whispered that it was the work of the legendary Skinwalker. To this day, the incident remains unexplained and unsolved. People still avoid that area of the desert at night, fearing the wrath of the Skinwalker. The Haunting of Halloween Night, a tale of terror in the woods. On a dark and eerie Halloween night, a group of young friends decided to venture into the woods. They were excited to take part in the local legends of Halloween night crawlers. These creatures were said to come out on Halloween and roam the woods, terrorizing anyone who dared to cross their path. As they made their way through the woods, they started to hear strange noises and things moving in the bushes. Suddenly, a figure appeared out of nowhere. It was tall, with a long, slender body, and its eyes glowed in the dark. The friends froze in fear, and the creature started to approach them. Panicking, the group turned around and ran as fast as they could. The creature chased them, and they could hear its heavy breathing getting closer and closer. One of the friends looked back and saw the creature grab his friend. They kept running, too scared to look back again. Once they reached safety, the group realized that their friend was missing. They searched for him in the woods, but found no trace of him. They reported the incident to the authorities, but the search for their friend yielded no results. Today, the legend of the Halloween Nightcrawler remains unsolved and unexplained. Some say that the creature still roams the woods, looking for its next victim. But one thing is for sure. The disappearance of that young man on that fateful Halloween night was something that no one could ever forget. Whispers in the Moonlit Cemetery, a terrifying encounter on Halloween night. It was a crisp October evening, and the leaves crackled under the feet of passers-by as they made their way through the cemetery. The moon was full and cast an eerie glow on the headstones. As the night went on, the cemetery began to empty out, and the only sound heard was the owls hooting in the distance. Suddenly, an apparition appeared before a young woman, sending shivers down her spine. The ghost was translucent and glided towards her, whispering in a language she couldn't understand. The woman tried to run, but her feet felt rooted to the ground. As the ghost whispered, the woman began to feel a sudden chill, as if the ghost was draining the warmth from her body. Her mind was hazy, and the whispers began to sound like screams. She looked around and saw that other ghosts had appeared, all of them whispering something inaudible, but with a sense of malice that sent a shiver through her. The next thing she knew, she had awoken lying on the grass alone. She couldn't explain what had happened, but she knew that she had experienced something terrifying and unexplainable. Ever since that night, the woman never went back to that cemetery, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that the whispers were still haunting her, and she had never found the answers to what had happened that Halloween night. Are you brave enough to face the chills and thrills of our horror story? Watch and share if you dare, and don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned for our spine-tingling narratives. Subscribe to our channel to never miss our latest updates.